Election season is underway, and an Illinois congressman who is running for U.S. Senate visited a school in Normal to lay out his education priorities. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi was at Fairview Elementary School in Unit 5. He highlighted federally funded after-school programs as schools face potential funding cuts from Washington. Fairview Elementary is part of the Community Schools program, which supports students and their families by providing wraparound services. Krishnamoorthi says the school is an example of how funding reductions could affect students and why he wants to protect those services.
That they have a level playing field to learn from, and that means, being able to come to school ready to go. And if they're not able to have some of these issues attended to, which are otherwise attended to through these wraparound services, then they're harmed.
The congressman also shared support for free school lunches. Krishnamoorthi is facing two other top contenders on the Democratic side, Robin Kelly, who you just saw, and Juliana Stratton, who's on your screen now. He also faces several Republicans who are on your screen at this moment. We plan to speak with at least a half dozen of them. We've got a lot more election coverage on 25newsnow.com.